G'day, Aussie Bonsai Bloke. Here you go. Today, guys, we're going to be working on this Mallsai Bonsai. If you have a look, about three, I don't even know why three came into that, but anyway, if you have a look, about nearly a year and a half ago, I did some, I think I called it Bunnings/Walmart Bonsai. I had a trident maple that I put into a quick pot, and I also had this Mallee, which I did a really quick style and some guide wires to. So just to show you how you can make one of those, you know, $80, $100 Mallsais that they sell for, you know, less than 10 bucks. But anyway, here we are after a bit more growth from this tree. Still extremely young, probably only 3 years old from a, you know, $3 tube stock from the nursery. And you know, I sort of rushed the last video that I did on it. If you go back and have a look, I did rush it a little bit, just sort of, you know, got it done, but I just wanted to show you how to quickly style it. So today we're going to revisit it. We're going to get back to it. Trident maple, I got rid of that when I sold it, so that's gone. But this Mallee we've still got. So we're going to give it a quick revisit. Well, not a quick revisit. We'll do it a bit more justice this time, because it could end up being a cool little tree eventually. So we'll look into it. Could end up being a cool tree. So first thing we'll do, let's cut off all these guide wires that we put on here. Quite a few guide wires all over it. Get rid of them. So, I mean, it's given it, you know, it was still very worthwhile giving it its quick styling that we did in that video, because it has given it more shape and more branching now in the future. So now we can go back and have a, you know, a little bit more developed tree, but I'm sure we'll still be taking off a fair bit of stuff here and there. And I'll just walk you guys through, especially beginner guys out there. I'm going to really walk you through everything in styling a tree. So you start from scratch, and it's just cheap material. So watch the first episode if you haven't, a year and a half ago or so, and then here you are now with it here, how it is. So we're going to give it a bit more effort this time. I'm going to pull it out the pot so we can see what's going on with the roots. So first thing to do, now that we've got it to this stage and we've got rid of the guide wires, I did no actual wire on here. It does have spider mites, although someone's telling me it's not spider mite, it's caterpillar shit, so who knows. I don't know what's bloody going on, but you know, anything that's congested ends up with this bloody, I don't know, webbing and shit in there, so who knows. I've been spraying it a little bit and hosing it out. It's sort of keeping it under control, but if I walk away for too long without doing any work, what happens is, you know, they come back pretty quick. So I'm not going to repot it today, but I am going to take off the top layer of soil so that we can see what roots are the best, so that we can really do this tree justice and try and find the best front. So we're going to be using minimal tools. You know what I will do, just so I can show you guys how minimal tools you actually need to use. We've got our concave cutters, snips, but you could use pruners, great picking snips, flower snips, anything like that instead. Had my wire cutter for cutting the wire. You could use side cutters, so those two could be replaced with stuff that you've got lying around. Concave cutters in case we need to do a flush cut, reasonably, you know, reasonably needed. If I was to get three things, it would be a pair of snips, wire cutters, concave cutters, and that would be it. Those three things. So yeah, that would be the scissors, wire cutters, and concave cutters. And that would be the three things I would get. And they're the three tools that you really need. Now, I do have a root hook for cleaning the roots out, but for the sake of this video, you know, aimed at beginners, what we can do is we can just get a screwdriver, literally just clean the top off a bit. I sort of hold it like that in my hand, but almost scrape a little bit sideways across the top, just to get where you just want to get the top surface soil off so we can see what the roots are doing. I'll probably collect a lot of this stuff later and put it back on top where it's needed, although I won't be putting as much on as what's on there now. You know, just enough that's, you know, to cover these delicate roots that we will uncover. I just want to recover them, but if we find any good coarse ones, we're going to try and leave them sort of semi-exposed. So just go around the outside of your tree like this, just carefully. Well, what we're doing is we're looking for major roots. So here, bring in on a close-up actually, because you guys are a fair way away. Sorry about that, guys. Alright, bring up on a bit of a close-up. So what we're going to do is we're just going to scrape here like this until we start to see some bigger roots. See this one here? It's a little bit bigger, that one. So we'll leave that one, work around it. Just casually work around, try not to damage too many roots. Work your way around very carefully. Just trying to expose some major roots if there is any. Some trees don't seem to get too many major roots. Keep an eye out though. And sometimes you'll find that your best root bases actually can be a good couple of inches under the surface. So it's also a possibility too that the best roots are right under. Another quick way of doing it, if you're really strapped for time, which you shouldn't be strapped for time if you're doing bonsai, because bonsai is all about, you know, setting yourself a fairly, you know, decent amount of allotted time to come out and work on your tree. And hopefully in the meantime get away from your wife and kids, or whatever, your husband, kids, whatever tickles your fancy, and just get a bit of quiet time. Alright, so we're just cleaning it off. You can see we've found a bigger root here. You can feel with your fingers too, a little bit. So we're just using a screwdriver just to lightly go around. The screwdriver is a bit of a sharp screwdriver, so it's not the best. But just to show you guys, it does still work. So just keep cruising around. Cruise around, see what we can find, pull out the big chunks of dirt. Okay, obviously we got this one big one here, really big one. I feel like there's another one under the surface here somewhere. You can feel with your fingers. Doesn't appear to be too many big ones. Okay, so it looks like we got another bigger one here. Right here. So we'll probably leave a lot of these side roots here if this becomes a plane, because a lot of these will fatten up. We'll just cut off the crossing roots and keep the other ones. So let's go around this side now, see if there's anything on this side. And what I might do too is I might just go out, get the hose, and just really quickly give these top surface roots a good blast with a jet on the hose, a jet function. Just on the top, just so we can really see what's going on, so it uncovers them a bit. because quite often the jet on your hose can penetrate better and do less damage than what a root hook will do. So I like to sort of do this, have a bit of a look around, bit of an explore, and then get the jet out and just have another good check. Make sure we're not missing anything down deeper, because who knows, you could cut all this away and find something really good down deeper. But in this case I don't think so. I can't really feel anything underneath too much. Not to say there's not. And there is some good flowering roots up here at the top. Right, so this is the first step. You uncover your roots, see what roots you got to work with, and that'll give you a better idea. Just pour the soil into my tub here. And when you've got the good roots looking at you, that'll give you a bit of a more of an idea of what front that you want to use, because the front of a tree, in my way of looking at it, is a compromise between the best roots and the best trunk structure. Bit of a compromise. I don't choose one over the other. I don't choose the best roots and say that's it, and at the same time I don't choose just the best top and say that's it. It's a bit of a compromise between both. I'll just come back in a sec after this top bit's been hosed out, so let's do that. Well, good day guys. Typical me, I got carried away. I started washing out the top, and before I knew where I was, I got to the bottom. But that's alright, perfect time of year for repotting anyway. So, you can see where it used to be in its small little pot, got tangled up. Really wiry looking roots on this tree. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to actually just cut this whole bottom section off now. Really wiry roots, probably a bit like a crepe myrtle type roots. Since I've got the grape picking snips out, just cutting away. With these natives, the Mallee, you can quite easily take off a half. I find the Mallee is hard to dig up out of the ground in the wild, because you get a main taproot which just goes for miles and just runs and runs, and if you try and dig it up you only get about 3 or 4 big fat roots with no feeder roots on it. So you get 3 or 4 big fat roots, no feeder roots. I find once they're in a pot you get a lot of these close roots, and you're quite okay to cut it back pretty hard once it's established in a pot. Australian natives seem pretty good to cut back in a pot, just not to collect. Unless you've got a bottle brush. If you've got a bottle brush, go for it. But anyway, this is how I would also treat a deciduous tree, or an evergreen like an olive. Deciduous, I might even go just that little bit harder on it. But anyway, let's look at the roots, see what roots we got. So there's a main one here, a couple of main ones in here, then there's some crossing roots stuck in there as well. So let's cut out this crossing root here. Just try and clean them up a little bit, because if we can clean them up and get a good root structure, you know, it's half the battle. And then we can choose what we want at the top once we know what we've got at the bottom. So a lot of this stuff here we can keep. So you can see it gives us a root there, root there, root there, which divides out the side there. Don't need this top one on there, or a couple of these little side ones that are crossing everything. Get rid of them. Okay, so we've got these ones here coming out, we've got this one coming out. We don't need this one goes straight back up in the air. It's not ideal for bonsai, having one come back up in the air. Sort of want them all to, you know, fan out like a big fan. Alright, so let's keep going around. Now you can see at the back, we've got these 2 big ones here. Or not, I shouldn't really say at the back yet because we haven't decided, but They are the ugliest of the roots. So the better of the roots is sort of around there. And if we keep turning it, they get worse. But there is some other roots in here which could get stronger and take over and become quite good roots in the future. We've just got to give them a chance, that's all. I'm going to cut off an upward one down here. This heads back up. Now I don't want to go too brutal on it, but I do want to clean it up enough to make it worthwhile. Okay. Just clean the dirt out. If we look in here, we've got another root still on the top there, another one there, another one there. Now, here, we've actually got a half decent little one in there, another one in there, which can become quite good roots in the future. Got a fat one down here underneath. I'm just going to chop that off because it's pretty ugly. It's got some upward growth on it. Very wiry roots on this tree, the Mallee. Don't ask me what type of Mallee, I've got no idea. No idea at all. There's that many varieties in Australia. I've got no idea. All I know is it's got small leaves and seems to grow fast, which they all seem to. So that's about it. So clean up the top of your roots, give yourself some nicer ones. They're not so nice there. You could cut this big fat bulb off down lower. Okay, so let's have a look down lower. Okay, so in here you can see where that big fat one runs to, down here. So let's cut it off a little bit down there. See what that gets rid of. Okay, not too much. Now I don't want to go crazy because this is not a deciduous tree. A deciduous tree can handle a bit more. This one not quite so much. So I'm not going to go silly on it. You can see it's just like tangled up spaghetti. It's quite funny. It's like the root system's had a perm. That's what it looks like. Just clean up all these little baby ones that are in the way of some better roots. So there's a decent sort of root system showing itself there. Chop this one here off because there's actually some underneath. We'll clean that dirt out. Okay, so we've got one showing there. This one here I've cut back, but it should reshoot. Some decent ones there. So there are some decent ones back there. You got this side here which looks a bit awkward. Top probably looks alright from there. Probably not bad. In actual fact, probably where you got these awkward roots probably has the best top. I would say this nice big fat branch here that's come off the side has got something to do with this big fat root here. And that's the reason it's, you know, the root is directly correlated with the big fat branch that it's grown outside there, and that's why you got a fat root, fat branch. Right, so I'm pretty happy leaving it at that. I'm not going to go any further on the root system. That's all that we're going to do. So let's turn it and find the best root system. Okay, keep turning, turning. I'll do a full lap. Hope you guys can see. I might actually bring you guys in a bit closer because you asked a long way away again. So, give you a full turn of the root system. Okay. I don't know if you agree, but this is about the worst spot for the root system and probably the best spot for the top. Unfortunate. Quite often happens that way. So we're going to have to find a compromise. Alright, let's go around to where I think the best root system is. I think the best root structure is right there. Gives you a nice wide base, lots of root division. It's not bad. Might chop this one back a bit. Okay, so that's not bad there. Now the top, well, it's quite ugly. You got this one coming straight at you here. Right. We'll just come on the other side. I'll just make sure you guys can see it all now. Sorry guys. Okay, so the top, if that's going to be our front root system, let's make some quick decisions here. Okay, don't let emotions get in the way of your tree. Just go by what you think. Make out it's someone else's tree. So here we got a pretty ugly root system, but these here could eventually turn into something decent here in future. So it still is a possibility to use it. If your top was so good there, you would give it a chance here, let these ones here grow out. Maybe you'll end up with a good root system. There's not bad for a root system. That'll give you a bit of a structure to the tree. Best root system, I feel, is right there. Now, if that's your best root system, what can we do with the top? Well, we can put some more guide wires to get things out the way. We can cut this one here clean off. I feel like the best view of the top is from there. I mean, that's not bad. We could probably nearly... Big decision. Alright, don't get too emotional. We haven't invested much time in this tree, one style, and let's go for it. Let's cut that one off the front. What's it look like now? Big one gone. Certainly opened it up. Remember, we can use guide wires to fan it back out. We've got this really cool little branch in here. It's got a nice twist to it. We've got this straight one at the back, which almost gives you too much stuff going on at the back because you've got this one. So let's chop that one off. Let's get rid of that one. See how we look now. Okay, I certainly opened it up. So you got this one, you can see the back there. You can run some of these at the side. Another one at the side here. Fan these out a bit more. Definitely make something there. Definitely. Just got to fan that one out more. And then let stuff fill in. Alright, well maybe we'll do that. That can be the front. Got a nice branch here. This one here can get pulled to the side. You could honestly, if you wanted to, cut a couple more off, but I'm happy with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 trunks now. So let's run with that. If you were to still choose the best 5 trunks, you would say somewhere there gives you the best shape. Definitely. It's hard because the root system is worse there, but definitely the best shape, best trunks. Come around here, gives you a better look at this low branch here. That one looks kind of cool from this angle. If we fan that one out a bit, we could run one of these up. One of them down. Hard to say, very hard to say. That one there could go up. And these could fan out a bit. Or even if one just fanned across. These are the decisions that you have to make, and as you can see here, I'm still stumbling trying to come up with an idea, because, you know, whatever idea you come up with will be it for the tree. We'll just cut this one off the inside, which looks pretty ugly. I might open it up a bit, give me more of an idea. Let's cut some more of these things off in the middle. Hopefully it gives you more of an idea of what you're after. It's an ugly bit of a branch on the end of there. Right. I reckon we can make something there. So that's our best root system. Gives us that nice branch here. The side one here. The back one here, well, we can either turn it more that way or that way. Something like that's probably okay. Then you can see sort of all the trunks. See this one, this one, this one, this one, and this one. Maybe bring that one across more. Right, I think we repot it like that. Should we probably trim it? Probably. So, I don't know if you've watched some of my previous videos on my Mallee style, but basically what I do, so I just grab it, trim a bit of an angle across the top, let it go, and that becomes a foliage plane. Clean up some inside little branching that we don't want, some of the little wispy stuff. Get rid of that. So we have some more, you know, structural branching that's in nicer spots, that shows nicer lines. I also don't believe in over cleaning stuff up. Just, you know, bit of a trim. Cut some of this off of that trunk. Could probably use that to go up into this canopy. So I'll probably leave a couple of these wispy ones. I'll cut these inside ones off here. These outside ones here are pretty well up with this trunk, so we'll cut them back up there with that. So let's cut them up with this canopy. And basically it's like creating little bowl cuts. You know, the old haircut bowl cut that you got? Well, not that I got, my brother got one. And you just put a bowl on your head and cut it. Well, that's pretty well the same principle. Clean off some wispy stuff. Another wispy one here. That can all contribute up to the top. And we basically want a few different levels. I want all the branching to be upright because these trees do grow upright in the wild. And I want to mimic that a bit. Remember, this is only a second styling, so over time the shape and the development of the tree will get better and better. And I can afford to cut a fair bit off because I've got rid of a fair bit of the roots, so should balance it out pretty well. Okay. that'll become part of that canopy up there. Now, I want this canopy here to cross over the trunk a bit. I want something different, and I want it to cross over the trunk. So what I might do is just hold all that together, cut it, and you can see that there will then, you know, sort of grow over the trunk a bit. This side branch out here, well, do I need it? I don't think so. Maybe some of that. Alright, let's do the same for this one. These new scissors are cutting pretty well. I've got some new scissors. Very sharp. Get rid of some of this wispy stuff. I don't want to get rid of all the wispy stuff because some of the wispy stuff's going to grow up into the other canopies eventually, I'm assuming. Okay. Get rid of this side one here. Right. I do want a back one. See how this plane here, with your mallees, you end up with trunks. So here's another plane here. You end up with, basically it's almost like having a couple of trees together all on different planes. So what I'm trying to get at is we've got this plane down here, then we're going to have that there sort of part of that bottom plane, then we're going to have this plane, and then we're going to have a top one. So for here, I think I want to leave some of the fatter ones here to go to the top and create the top plane because mallees have quite a broad canopy at the top. But I also want to grab some of the more wispy ones and create another plane here equal with these. So let's do that. Just basically grab the wispier ones, leave the stronger ones alone, let them get to the top, and cut the wispier ones. And in time, they should fill out and become another pad out here and be part of a different plane altogether. And this one here can also become a lower plane along with this section. Remember, it's only a second styling and it's only, you know, it's only been in development for 18 months. So you can't expect the world, you know. This is how they start. And this is a different style too, you know. I'm not overly familiar with doing it this style. I'm actually learning this style myself, the Mallee style, which I coined the Mallee style, just because I got sick of everything being a triangle like a juniper or a pine. I got sick of styling everything like that and bending everything down into these fanned out pads. I got sick of that and I wanted more upright trees, so I developed the Mallee style, mainly because when I look outside and have a look at the eucalypts and the mallees, they grow different to the, you know, different to the junipers, and I wanted something different. I wanted something more like what I see out the window. So, you know, it'll take time for sure for this to develop, but I do have some more that I have done this to. There's a bottle brush and another Melaleuca which I did as a Mallee style, and they're a lot more developed, so if you want to have a look at those you can. But I hope you're getting the idea, you know, all these different planes. So this one here, I'm going to leave these smaller ones down the bottom here that are coming up to the top of the canopy, because in the end I want these branches to become part of the top canopy. I might divide the top canopy in time if it gets too thick, create like little interests and sort of separate canopies within the canopy. But in general, I do want to develop a big canopy at the top and then the smaller ones at the bottom. So let's cut this all back. Now I'm actually thinking, should I have, I think I will. If you have a look at some mallees, you'll even notice that even where they finish the top one, sometimes you'll get one or two shoots that go higher and just have a little wispy bit on top. So what I might do is there's a couple of stronger shoots in here. Okay. And I might pick them, let them get to the top. So a lot stronger shoot in there. Let that one get right to the top and be on a separate plane altogether. Maybe this one here. Not too many, because it is starting to look a bit funny. Just trim it back there. Just leave one or two to get to the top. And then they can develop their own little weird funny pads. Might even chop that one off. Then they can develop their own little weird pad up a bit higher. Okay, we're getting there. I just want to just chill it out a bit. Some of the wispy things, I just want to get rid of a few of them, just so you have more of a, you know, dominant branch heading up there, because when you get that little, you know, that one branch that hangs above the rest of the tree on a mallee, so this here will be the canopy. When you get that one that hangs above the rest, quite often there's only a single stem going up and then it fans out. So I'm not worried about getting a heap of stems going up there. If it's only this one here with 3 divisions and it heads up and creates another little tiny canopy on its own, that's good enough. Okay, we just want to get rid of some inside wispy stuff here. And another thing too you'll notice is the thing about the mallee and the eucalypt is you can see right through the tree. You can see the structure, you can see the branches underneath, and over time I will expose them more and more. I'll cut anything hanging down off. I'll cut a lot of this little wispy stuff off in between. This will be over time, but for now some of that will actually help to develop the structure, you know, almost like some parachute cords, paracords or something. But in the short term, these little wispy branches here are going to help develop the structure. So I don't want to clean up too much now and get rid of some of those, you know, branches that will help develop the structure. I want to leave them there and it will just be a development over time. So these ones here are going to come up and help out with that pad. We're going to have a section here, and the ones at the back are going to stop the same. And then we're going to have this other taller one up here, cruise up, have its own little pad, and the small ones down the bottom. And then we've got this little root system here. So it's pretty cool. I think we're just about done enough torture on this tree for a day. I think it's almost time that we get this little guy into a pot and yeah, stop torturing it for a while. Just want to have a look if there's any other bits that have fallen off that we don't need. Any sort of really badly crossing branches in here, a few little dead ones. And now that I've chosen this as a style, Mallee style, I think what I'll do now is I'm gonna keep on it a bit more, keep it trimmed a bit more, because if you let it get really big and bushy like they can, and like it was before, the bottom branches here will die out. The trick with these eucalypts and mallees in the wild is that the top branches are so far away and not a lot of foliage on them, that then the bottom regrows with these, you know, pads in close, and like in here, it regrows because it starts to get sunlight again, and that's the sort of look that I'm aiming for. So you can see this nice cool branch here, a few there, a back one out here, and I hope you agree it's starting to look like something. I could potentially move that one over that way a bit more still. I just got to work out what I can tie it to. I won't be able to tie it to the pot, and it would need a hell of a bit of a wire to bend it. So I think for now we'll leave it like that. It's pretty good. We'll lean it forward, it actually sort of comes across anyway. And then these ones at the back are going to fan out the back. Okay, cool. Let's get it in the pot, and then we'll get some moss on it. Bit of a long-winded video, I know, but you know, there's a lot of little different things that you need to know when you're working on a tree. As you can see, we got rid of that big branch in the front. If we'd have left that big branch, I'll just give it a trim. If we'd have left this big branch, I'll show you what it would have looked like. Okay, would have been in the front, looking something like that, which still looks good, but it does block you from seeing the main trunk a lot, like that with that little wispy one there. Now you can see the main trunk, so big difference there, gone. I hope it's an improvement anyway. Right, so we've done it pretty cheap so far, $3 tube stock. You wait, you know, a year and a half, work on it, wait another year and a half. Now I've worked on it again, and it's actually starting to look like a pretty cool little tree. So let's get it into a pot and see how we go. You could try to fan out some of these roots a bit, but the thing is, these are so brittle and tangled that there's a good chance you'd snap it all off. I'm not willing to take that risk because I think we've taken enough roots off the Mallee, the Melaleuca. Just these back ones, I might shorten them a little bit. Okay, let's get a pot. Ah, timber! Alright. Oh man, I was sitting down too long, that really hurts. Okay guys, so we've got to this extent. What I'm going to use now, I just want to clean up this pot a little bit because it is a bit dirty, it's been used before. It's the only one I could find lying around to fit the tree. Does it suit it? Well, probably not, but you know, better than a black tub. Basically just get some, I normally use WD-40, but I don't know. A couple of people have got angry with me for using WD-40 because it's poisonous to the tree, and said that you should be using oil. So here we go, some cooking oil, just to keep some people happy. Got to keep everyone happy. Obviously when I use the WD-40 I only put it on the outside of the pot, didn't put it on the inside of the pot, but anyway. Cooking oil, clean up your pot, make it shiny. Obviously cooking oil is probably bad for your tree too, so I'm only going to put that on the outside of the pot too. Otherwise you could end up with the same problem. Right, so we've cleaned the pot, and next job will be to get some gutter guard Right guys, so we're going to get some gutter guard put on it. We'll put on some gutter guard, keep it put over the holes. Now gutter guard is too fat, I know that. As in like too coarse, the holes are too coarse. So what I do, because the holes are too coarse on gutter guard, right, is I actually cut, because gutter guard's super cheap, super easy to find. Well, that one even might be a tree guard, but what I do is I just put them crossways or diagonal, and what that does is pretty well halve the size of your hole to stop snails and stuff getting up in your pot. So you can see that it's in there. Now, one thing I don't normally do is tie a tree down, but this one is super wobbly, and I'm worried that it will blow out the pot because it is super wobbly. Normally I'll put a few rocks on it, on the surface, hold it in, but this one here, because it hasn't been in training very long, it doesn't have a nice flat root base. If it had a flat root base where I could cut a slice of cake off the bottom and put it back in flat, I wouldn't tie it in, because there's no point, just a waste of time. But because it is going to be wobbly, what I'll do is I'll literally just, you know, oh, there goes the oil. Damn. So what I'll do is I'll literally just bend, 90-degree bend there, measure it on the bottom holes. Okay, another 90-degree bend there. Right, cut it up here. Then I'll do another one, 90-degree bend. 90-degree bend. Don't have to do anything fancy, just all you're doing is wiring the tree in the pot once you put it in. And then I'll, whoa, slippery, oily and slippery. Whew, couldn't really drop that. Does actually really shine it up with some nice oil on it. Beauty. Right, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to place both of these in, just like so. Right, and then I'm going to bend one out and around that way, one that way. Right, well, sorry, I'll bend them straight again. I forgot to put my screens in, so you can see I don't normally wire trees in pots because I just forgot to put my screens in. Sammy, you clown, mate, you clown. So let's put the screens in, just run them to the bottom, run them diagonal, run them to the bottom of the pot so you can see they're all run to the bottom of the pot, they're all in there, ready to go. Hope you can see that. And now let's just run one lot one way, one lot the other way. Maybe bend it out over the sides. Okay, just because I don't normally do that doesn't mean I've never wired it in. I have, but yeah, like I said, I don't normally. So here we've got some, this is actually some seed raising mix with perlite that I had for a tree which died. I was trying to look after it, ended up dying, so that's a bit unfortunate, but basically let's put a bit of a pile in the bottom, get the front of this tree which we've got to sort out. Right, I want the front to show off the best roots as well as the shape of the tree. So maybe even there somewhere, it's pretty cool. You can see all the trunks. If I was to do it around that way more, yeah, it sort of shows the trunks better, but then the root system's worse. So like I say, you've got to pick a happy medium. Okay, you've got trunks all coming towards you. So you can see they're really coming at you. So that's pretty cool. Right, so let's do it like that. I'll put a bigger pile in the middle So the idea is you put a bigger pile of soil in the middle. Like I say, this is seed starter mixed with perlite. I don't normally use perlite apart from seed raising and cuttings, because perlite, what it does is if you completely drench this, the perlite sort of floats to the surface, to be honest. It's not that great. So normally I don't use it, but anyway, today we are. Right, so we've got it to that point, got it in the pot. I might go a little bit to the left in the pot, which lets the top hang out to the right. You don't need to have the apex of the tree above the base, because in nature that doesn't happen that often anyway. Have you ever seen someone cut down a tree and it sits on its stump and doesn't fall over? I don't think so. Quite often they hang in one way or the other depending on the wind. So we're going to put a little bit left, let it hang out of the pot to the right. And then what we're going to do is we're going to tie it in now before we fill it up with soil. And I want to tie it to the roots down lower, not the ones that we want to see. I just got to get a pair of pliers. We'll get to it. So just a general set of pliers. You know, like I say, I'm trying to keep this simple so that you guys can see just ordinary stuff being used for this video. Because, you know, bonsai is accessible to anyone. Bonsai is accessible to anyone on any budget. Doesn't have to cost money. And for me, it certainly hasn't. I've never had money. I don't even know what it's like to have money. All I know is that I can still do bonsai on a budget. And you can still have some really nice trees. Just have to be more inventive over how you do stuff and what you do. And come up with different ways of doing things. Different ideas for pots, like I've used pool tables and all sorts if you've watched my video for a while. Because pots are too expensive. But I might be starting to try and make my own cement pots soon, who knows. Maybe. Right, I'll just cut off that tag. I'm using aluminium wire. So you pull on the wire, twist down, and that really cinches it in there. And now you can see it's really in there. And just fold the excess. Fold the excess. I'm pretty happy with how that's potted up. I will bring you guys down lower because you're looking down on the tree. Looks a bit weird looking down on it. I'm just going to go the old-fashioned screwdriver that we've got here. Basically, we just got to screw it in. Way too big, this screw. So let's screw it in. That could have gone pear-shaped pretty quick. Okay, we got that screwed in. Now we got this one. Show you how to do a guide wire again. I just got to go and get a bit of dripper tube again. So just hang on a minute. I'll be back. I'm just getting some dripper tube. Which seems to always disappear when I want it. Well, not so much dripper tube, but you know, bubbler tube for fish. So there we go. You can see that. So basically we just wrap that around the trunk to protect the trunk. Okay, very delicate. Little small leaves on these Melaleuca, pretty cool little trees, fast growing as you can see, 3 years old. And it is starting to become something. And then all we're going to do is just help it by twisting with your fingers there. Quite a brittle tree, but guide wires to move branching is good, doesn't matter. But if you were to try and put a big twist in it, you can't, it'll just snap. But you know, just get a bit of direction, it's fine on these trees. So what we'll do is we'll do that, wrap it around that screw. Right, and then we're going to cut it. Okay, wrap it back around on itself. And then please yourself whether you leave that big head of the screw in there or you cut it off. I'm going to cut it off. The old bolt cutter. I know I started this video saying you don't have to have bugger all tools, but here we are with bolt cutters now. I have overbent it a little bit. Alright, let's go back. I just don't want it that far. It will spring back a little bit, so do bend it just a little bit too far, but that's just getting a bit extreme, a bit silly. Right, maybe somewhere, just straighten this back up, this wire. Maybe, right, let's bend it. Maybe, like that's a little bit far, but believable. Maybe somewhere like that might be better for this tree. Right, let's cut this, twist it around. Okay, you can see we've still got it tied in the pot. And then we're just going to get the bolt cutters and I'm just going to cut the top of this screw off and get it out with pliers later. You can see she's gone. And now we've got better structure with that tree just from a guide wire. Got some wispy little stuff hanging at the front here. Some new scissors I got, really awesome. Quite sharp. So this has been a fairly long drawn out video for some people, but you know, this is the whole process. This is how you work on a tree. This is how you sort of study it. Look around, clean out the roots, choose a front. Front's a compromise between the roots and the top branch structure and the main trunks, or in this case trunks, but even if you've got a single trunk, it's still a compromise between the best roots and the best trunk. Okay, so we're really squeezing this stuff in here. If you want, you can use the screwdriver to just poke it in a bit better, because there could be a few cavities, because this one had some really bird's nest sort of roots on the bottom. So in this case, it's a good idea just to stab your soil in a bit. Use more of a stab motion. Be gentle though. Okay, then just put some more soil, whatever you use for your medium. Up to you. Okay. Really pack it down so it doesn't move around. I know we've wired it in, but we can get it nice and packed, that's better as well. And then we're ready to moss up this baby. So yeah, like, it's been a long video, but there's a lot to do, and you want to be, you know, respectful of the tree. You want to be able to make sure you do put in the time to look at the roots properly before you work on the top, and then do the best job you can on the top of the tree for what you got to work with. Generally, if you're like me, by the time you've finished, you've got a big pile of different tools that you decided you might need, a whole heap of mess everywhere, and spend the next half hour cleaning it back up. So that's that. I'm going to get some moss on it, and then we'll have a spin of the tree. Cheers. Okay guys, now for the decorative bit of your bonsai. Just put a little bit more soil on some roots at the back here that are exposed that I am hoping will grow. So I will mound up the back a little bit, try and get them to encourage them to grow. The front's good. Those roots are pretty well set and going deep, so they're fine. If you haven't watched me before, sorry about how long this video is taken. If you have, well, you sort of know that I get carried away talking, and basically I figure if it takes me this long to work on a tree, you guys may as well stay live and stay here for the whole process, because this is how long it takes me to work on it, so you guys should endure the pain too. Basically with mossing, I just want to keep those major big roots exposed and cover some of the smaller ones that I want to keep to let grow bigger, because what the moss does is it actually protects the smaller roots and covers them up so that they can stay moist underneath the moss, because moss actually promotes growth of roots. And then in time, as they get fatter, then we can start to expose some of the smaller roots. But for now, we want to cover the smaller ones, leave some of these bigger ones hanging out. Your moss, you know, get all types of moss. Get some fine moss, some coarse moss, some really dark moss, some lichen, whatever you can find. Variety is the spice of life. So whatever you can find, just grab, you know, off the pavement or wherever. You'll find yourself walking along the streets just picking up moss like a weirdo, but that's fine. All bonsai people are weirdos at the end of the day. Only a weirdo would sit here and work on a tree for 2 hours, and then an extra weirdo would even video it and put it on YouTube. Right. Basically, the reason I did start up YouTube was just because back in the day there wasn't enough people posting on YouTube. There was almost nobody, and I couldn't find shows to watch, so I thought, you know what, I'm going to start up my own as well. It wasn't to make money or anything, it was just to give other people more content, because I found there was hardly any content. But since I've started up the channel nearly 5 years ago maybe, there's actually a lot of YouTube videos, a lot of YouTube channels out there now having a crack at it, which is good to see. And I wish them all the best, everyone that does a channel, because it is good to see more and more people doing channels and having fun and creating bonsai and sharing the love of bonsai, you know. So the more people that get out there and do it and show it, hopefully the more people are exposed to it, and then the more people will actually start to do the hobby, this weird hobby. So the more people, the better. So yeah, it's really cool to see there's more and more people on YouTube now. Really good to see. A lot of the professionals, they bag out people on YouTube and say, oh bloody YouTube, people don't know what they're doing, which is probably true, you know, we probably don't compared to them, but you know, we're still having a go, still creating trees and having fun. And at the end of the day, as long as we're still giving this hobby exposure, it's only a plus as far as I'm concerned, even if we don't know what we're doing quite so much. Right, so I've got the cooking oil on there, it's all cleaned up. I'll go and get the turntable. This is Adrian Eggleton's spinning tree turntable. He's in Queensland. Just Google him, spinning tree turntable, and you'll find it. Right, so it's been a pretty full-on video. We've done a lot of stuff, worked on this tree, but I hope you agree, it's got a lot of potential. There's a Mallee style in Australia. It's got some really cool branching structure to it. And in time, it'll become something decent. Cool. I hope you guys enjoyed this beginner bonsai Mallee style. It's nowhere near finished, but you got to remember it was only 3 years from a $3 tube stock, basically. 3 years from a $3 tube stock, and it's well on its way. Imagine another 3 years from now with all these pads developed. It's going to look pretty cool. Right, so I'll give you guys a spin on the way out. Cheers for watching Aussie Bonsai Bloke. Please like, share, subscribe. Tell your mates about the channel. And I'll catch you next time. I had quite a bit of fun making this video for you guys, this beginner one. And I hope someone at least somewhere gets something out of it. Cheers. And I'll catch you next time. Tell your mates about the channel. Please subscribe. That's the spin. I'll give you a close-up spin too. Okay, if you're new to my channel too, I don't run music when I spin anymore because I had too many of my videos demonetized. Damn it. From music. Okay, so it is getting structure there. It's starting to become a tree. And in time, it will only get better. Close up of the roots. Look at the cool trunk, all the different trunks, the bark. Really cool. Cheers.